Good morning, everybody. It's Lorraine Alternative Homesteading on Monday, May 19, 2025. And I want to give you an update. I was really busy yesterday between the interview and taking care of my animals. Took up a lot of my day. So this morning I called the sheriff's office and I spoke with a dispatch number 676. Very nice woman. So here we go. I filed 2 separate incidents. There will be a third, but this is for today. And I'm going to put it out there for all you sleuths out there that want to see what the sheriff is going to do. It's a dispatch at 676. I filed the complaint. And by the way, I recorded it on my digital recorder, and that is missing. When I went to upload it, it's gone. And I'll tell you how I know it's gone and who I think did it. Okay, so anyway. Because I've been wearing the digital recorder around my body. So, here we go. Dispatch number 676, incident 2025-2154. I'll repeat that. Incident number 2025-2154. Terrorist threat. Potential fire hazard. The harming of wildlife, trespassing, criminal trespassing, menace, and harassment. At 1:41 a.m., May 18, 2025, a pickup truck drives up to my driveway and throws what appears to be a flashbomb grenade, according to subscribers who know what these things are better than I do. They said that very often police have these sort of grenades. I can't confirm or deny exactly what it was, but you can see from the images in the videos how bright it was, how loud it was, and that a pickup truck did indeed drive down the county road that I'm facing now from right to left. A very astute subscriber said that I see another vehicle behind it, probably hung out past my mailbox, probably to pick up the debris that was left behind, the evidence. And lo and behold, when I went out the next morning, there was no evidence there. That would have been Sunday morning when I went out there, which was probably around 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:30. I looked all over the place. No evidence of anything. So you're probably right, subscriber, that either I went to sleep and they came back to peruse where the evidence was to steal it. Another subscriber, just for the record, said that they can hear on my cameras 2 people talking very low, a man and a woman, laughing. One even mentioned my name, and there's a dog barking in the background. That could fit the bill of 2 of my criminal neighbors. So with regard to the incident report, I told the dispatcher that I need to file 2 separate incidents. I said, this is a terror threat. I believe it was my neighbors. It was a pickup truck. I've got at least 4 or 5 videos of this. And they said, well, you can send it to the sheriff. I said, listen, I have sent so much evidence to the sheriff and he does nothing. I said, there is a conflict of interest between the sheriff and the perpetrators. I described what was happening. I said it's already uploaded online. I will be filing complaints further up the ladder. And I said, by the end of this week, I want an arrest and somebody charged for the dispersal of those weapons on my property. I said I want the name and an arrest and a charge of somebody who did that. So, of course, they always ask, well, who could it possibly be? And I described the people who they could possibly be, who I won't mention on this. You all know who they are. Because I don't know exactly, because it was too bright, other than to see a pickup truck, to even see the color of the pickup truck, which I can usually see if it's dark outside. I can expand the videos to see who it is, what kinds of a pickup truck. But because the flash was so bright, and I also made note that this is the 3rd time that something like this has happened to me on my property. This was, in fact, the loudest and brightest that was discharged on my property. And it is a terror threat. And please write it as a terror threat against me with a potential fire hazard. It's criminal trespassing. 1:41 a.m. It violates whatever Kentucky laws there are with regard to noise. Anybody who could hear could have heard that sound. So then I went to incident number 2. Animal cruelty, animal theft, animal harm, animal torture, illegal entry into my 501c3 cat rescue building. That's incident number JCSO, which is the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, 2025, the year 2155. I explained that approximately May 2nd, 2025, somebody entered a double-locked nonprofit building and harmed the eyes of kittens that were in there. The kittens and the nursing mother. I said the reason why I have kittens and a nursing mother is because people dump these animals on my property. They're not spayed. So I explained also that a friendly fox that I have been caring for at least 2 years, maybe more, was trapped and stolen off my property after I posted a video of how I can feed this fox with eggs in the morning, almost by hand. You've seen the videos that I've posted. I'm probably about 3 feet away from the fox. That's how close I can get to the fox. So these criminals thought to themselves, well, I'm going to trap that fox. And Ace of Cups, thank you. Ace of Cups is very astute. And during all of these crises, I haven't been able to do it because I'm not in the mindset to do it either. But thank you so much during the live chat Saturday night for pulling those cards and saying that the fox was indeed trapped. They did trap the fox. They deliberately trapped the fox. So I told this dispatcher that I want animal cruelty charges filed. I want the sheriff to investigate. I want the name of the deputy performing the investigation. I want the people charged with animal cruelty, trespassing my property, interfering with wildlife on my property, and possibly animal harm. And I did explain to her that in the past, skinned dead animals have been left in my mailbox. Back in November 2026, November 26, 2024, I didn't have the incident number handy. I said that has not been investigated yet. So I said there is a history of animal cruelty, animal abuse, and animal torture. They skinned alive some animal and stuffed it in my mailbox and on my driveway. To date, from November, the sheriff has not given me a name of who did that and why. What animal was it? Was that hunted on my property? Who did that? So now the fox is missing, and somebody entered my nonprofit building and harmed the eyes of all the kittens. 3 of the kittens right now still have eye problems, and the 2 other kittens that were so harmed have died, have passed away. These were beautiful, healthy animals. I have before and after photos. So then as I went to my mailbox to clean up all the bitchcraft that was left all over the property, you know how they line my property with twigs and sticks? Yeah, all the way down the county road, clean it up. Walking back, I get a phone call from a state trooper. Evidently, after I left a message for Judge Shane Gabbard about what had been happening here, because dispatch told me that the next line that I need to go to is to contact the county judge. But before I hung up with the dispatch, I said this. I said, our local sheriff has done nothing to investigate any of the crimes taking place on my property, and also since November. This is clearly a terror threat. It's clearly a threat against me and my property and the animals on my property. I said, by the end of this week, I want the name and an arrest of the individual that threw that thing on my property. I said, because from now on, I'm taking this very seriously. I will hire an attorney and I will sue this county. And I did say that on record. I said, in addition, there's interference with my selling my property. So I said, this is the thing. I said this to the judge's office too. I said, listen, you're either going to buy my property, you're going to buy it for what it's worth, you're going to allow me to sell it, or I'm going to get a huge settlement from this county. Huge. I want that individual arrested and charged for what they did yesterday. And I'm not going to settle for Jackson County and the judge. They're all in on it, or even the state trooper who offered to, drive by and see anything. And of course, the state trooper is asking me, all those trick questions that they ask. Who do you think this could be? I gave the names of all my neighbors who have harassed me in the past. Well, why would they do something like that? He says, I want to think that everybody has good intentions. I said, not everybody has good intentions. I said, my neighbors are criminals. They're psychopaths and narcissists. I just said, if you want to have a conversation with me about their psychopathy, I said, I'm a psychologist and we can talk about this all day. And the reason he called me is he claims that somebody called that there was some lost cat around. Well, this is total bullshit. I don't have any lost cats. Somebody actually called the state trooper to call me and get information, sort of like asking me where I'm going to move. You think I was going to answer that question? Give me a break. So I did also tell him that I have 6 years of documentation of my neighbor harassing, threatening workers on my property. That I'm on Neighborhood Wars on A&E, April 11, 2023, with my neighbors trespassing my property. I said, so I have a history. It's all recorded. It's all evidence against my neighbors. Cease and desist letters. This is what I told the state trooper. He says, well, I'm actually out of your jurisdiction, but I could drive by. And I'm thinking the Judge Gabbard probably told him to call, which is fine. It means that it's not going to go anywhere. So this is where we're going higher up the ladder. Okay, so we've got to now, if by the end of this week, this sheriff doesn't arrest the person who did that and give me the name, I will be filing a lawsuit. I will be getting an attorney. Because now I have irrefutable evidence. Nobody around here can tell me I'm delusional. Nobody around here can lie about how I don't pay my bills. Nobody around here can tell me that nobody's throwing trash on my property or harassing me and tormenting me, or that the sheriff has turned a blind eye because by screwing the perpetrator's daughter. Okay? So yeah, I'm going to be a little disgusting this morning. So, I told Shane Gabbards' office that I need, by the end of this week, an arrest of the persons that did that. Person or persons. I also said that people who have listened to the recording and seen it, that are more familiar with these devices than I am, have identified what it possibly is. At least 3 people identified it as the same thing. 4 people. 2 people identified people speaking in the background of the audio. A man and a woman talking with a dog barking in the background. Thank you, subscriber. Because, some of the benefits about being a targeted person, and I will be creating that video. What I love about being a targeted individual is that there are people that are voice hearers, and they are in tune to what goes on behind the scenes, behind the backgrounds. They can decipher what most people can't hear. And they heard a man and woman laughing. One on one video even mentioned my name. At least he said, I think they said your name. And then he heard a dog barking in the background. And of course, we can share these videos with somebody who is expert in analyzing these videos. But there's nobody more expert than the sheriff in knowing who's perpetrating these crimes against me. No one. So Sheriff Daniel Isaacs, by the end of this week, there needs to be an arrest of the individual that threw that device on my property. There could have started a fire. The whole county road could have exploded. And what about the wildlife that was sleeping and having babies around here? And what about the evidence that was stolen from my driveway, Daniel Isaacs? I'm not even going to call you a sheriff anymore. Sheriff performs their duties. We need a constitutional sheriff. Somebody abides by the laws of the Constitution of the state of Kentucky. There needs to be an arrest of the individual who threw that on my property. That is a flat-out terror threat. They need to be charged. They also need to be investigated as to the November 26th incident of the animal there. And I want to know who stole the fox and why and where it is and what happened to it. Because with regards to the fox, I'm not staying in Jackson County, Sheriff. I'll be going to every animal organization that protects wildlife. And even if they do nothing, they'll have an incident with your name on it. My incident report number and your friggin' name. You better get my fox back. Get it back. I want to find out who deliberately trapped the fox. And I want the name and charge of who exploded that thing on my property. By the end of this week. And those are the messages that I left for Judge Shane Gabbard and the dispatcher. I was in great detail. It was a very long message because after I hung up with dispatch, I immediately called Judge Shane Gabbard and got his financial officer on the phone. He said, of course, the judge was not in the office. Whatever, it doesn't matter. And he's a very nice man. And he listened to what I said. He took down the 2 incident report numbers. I told him what happened. And I told him that dispatch mentioned that I need to call the judge. And lastly, and I'm leaving this out, and this is why it's important that I had that recording that they erased. And I guarantee the state trooper erased it. I guarantee that's why he called me. Absolutely. No doubt in my mind. So the dispatch said, were you able to take the kittens to a veterinarian? And I said, well, I'm so glad you asked that question. I said, no. I said, because my neighbors have slandered, defamed my name to the veterinarian. Told the veterinarian to not give me an appointment, to not take me as a client, customer. I said, and that's also documented because I reported her to the veterinary board and the Better Business Bureau. And I have it recorded on video and it's online. So people are dumping animals on my property that are not spayed, neutered, or vaccinated. They're getting pregnant. I'm required to then pay for the upkeep of the nursing mother and her kittens, food, litter, cleaning, laundry. I'm in my 60s. I don't want more kittens on my property. I don't want more animals here. But they keep dumping them here and then stealing animals and then harming them. So these animals that I'm investing all this money in, all these kittens, 8 of them, now there are 6 because they killed 2. And 2 of them right now are not thriving. How do I know? I've been rescuing cats for my entire life. Nobody's going to tell me how to take care of a cat. Or the fact that animals are attracted to me. Why are they attracted to me? Because they trust me. They know. Whatever they've done to this fox will no longer trust another friggin' human. And I want to know who trapped the fox, Sheriff Daniel Isaacs. Go ask your buddies down the block. Go ask the buddies that have received cease and desist letters, the ones that threaten me, throw poopy diapers and poopy trash on my property and raw meat and raw fish. Oh, and by the way, Sheriff, do you know that littering is a crime in Kentucky? Yes, I don't have it in front of me, but you can actually arrest one of those little effers down the block for littering. You can, and charge them. Oh, the same with animals at large. Dogs at large. Not animals. Dogs at large without tags and rabies shots. They're unleashed, wandering down the county road. You know, like Caleb Barrett's dog that ended up here. That he reported me to the state police because I gave his dog 5 friggin' meals because he was starved and he looked like he was strangled. He had tether marks around his neck. Do your job, Sheriff. Or hand in your badge. Get a constitutional sheriff. You've got a conflict of interest here. And the Kentucky State Police are not going to cut it here. Because I know you're all buddies. By Friday, there needs to be an arrest on the individual who posted that bomb, that dirty bomb on my property. There was a black pickup truck. I don't know who it is. Gray. I'm sorry. Bright blue. Cobalt blue. You're not messing here with one of your little hillbilly friends. Okay? Go research my legal history in New Jersey. I'm not as young anymore, but I will get a lawyer to defend me and sue your sorry asses if there's not an arrest by the end of this week. Because I've got more evidence to screw your sorry asses than anybody else that I know of. Keep it up. Oh, and yeah, by the way, all the third-party interference on my cameras, like disabling the Wi-Fi, that's also can be proven. All the people talking in the background because they're involved, that's also evidence. I don't take lightly to animal cruelty. You can research that history too. And I will be contacting larger organizations to report your sorry ass if I don't get the fox back this week, too. That fox better show up unharmed. Because I believe that fox has babies somewhere. And you have stolen the mother of those babies. You criminals. I know you're not getting my property. I don't care what you do to it. In fact, I will stay here until I get a huge settlement if my property doesn't sell. Mark my words. One or the other is going to happen. And I told that to the dispatch too. I said, one of 2 things is going to happen here. My property is going to sell for what I want it for, or I'm going to get a huge settlement. So this is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. That's my Monday morning rant. Leave your comments down below. How would you handle the incident of that thing that was dropped on my driveway? I've gotten some good recommendations. I will be contacting the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, but there are other organizations out there, and there are a lot of wildlife organizations out there. A lot. And there are a lot of people that can't stand Kentucky because of their cockfighting and all kinds of other animal abuses and inbreedings around here. Trust me, Kentucky's on the radar for animal cruelty. So we're going to add a couple more to the list. So everybody, this is what's going on here today. And thank you, everybody, for your comments. I so appreciate it because I am not familiar with these things. I am being absolutely abused. And after listening to Holly's testimony, I was forced to relive some of the stuff that I experienced too, that I never talk about. Because if I can't prove it, I don't usually discuss it. So Holly, I thank you so much. You are such a brave woman for coming forward that you were kidnapped, you were abducted. And that is what they do. They do it to animals, kiddos, and humans. And these predators, my neighbors are predators. And I did give their names again to dispatch, to the state trooper, and Judge Gabbard. But of course, with the disclaimer that I'm not sure who did it. But those are the possibilities. Go search there first. They probably know who did. I'm going to sign off for now.